Hello, everybody. It's me. It's Leech. I figured, why not make you guys wait 5 to 6 weeks and then surprise you with a video about what I've been doing, an update of what I've been doing. I know there are some messages for me out there, and I have not gotten to them. I don't know if I will be able to get to them. Why, you ask? Leech, where have you been? I have been spending a lot of time at home, believe it or not. That's not something I often do or am known for throughout history, but I've been home a lot. I work from a studio here that I have set up, and over the last 2 weeks I have pretty much gutted it and redone it, and I have a couple of new machines here to help me create what I do, to help fund my life. What am I? What is that? What am I doing? Some people call it fiber artistry. They call themselves a fiber artist. I can't come to terms with that for myself yet. I have worked in art in some degree or manner pretty much my entire life. As some of you know, what I went to school for was architecture and interior design, and which is a form of storytelling in itself, if you really understand the history and application of it. This is not just decorating. So architecture and interior design, and then my secondary studies was always some form of in some area of literature or writing or publishing, and in that profession. I also have my own little tiny farm here that I try to take care of by myself, sometimes successfully, sometimes not successfully. And at the end of the year, anybody who grows things or takes care of animals, at the end of the year, you know that it's time to start reaping the harvest, start prepping the ground for protection for winter, checking barns and stalls and coops and things like that, fixing any fencing that keeps getting crushed by the trees that keep dropping big old branches around here. You know what I'm saying, right? Anyway, that's all the boring stuff I've been doing. All of this is to say that in addition to the normal frazzle of this time of year, I am gearing myself up, gearing my products, objects of art, whatever you want to call them, up, because about 2 months from now, there is, around here, we have a subdivision of the Smithsonian Institute that always does like an art show, an optional sale, and I have a lot of fiber products or items that I'm going to exhibit and also sell. So, and these items take whichever variety they are. They take a long time to make. They're all made out of wool, some with silk, some with recycled silk. Some things I make are like little cutesy things like this. Hold on. A few weeks ago, just for fun, I made a little wool felt Bilbo from The Hobbit, the 1960 Dutch cover of The Hobbit. And so I do things like that for fun. But then I make wearable things, gowns and vests and skirts and scarf, things like that are very elaborate. They take hours and days actually to make. So when I get into work mode, I go in deep. But what about my fandom stuff? Since that's how 99% of you guys know me, which is perfectly fine. Well, if you've watched any of my other videos, you can see that I've rearranged my studio, because my wool storage bins that are now along that wall used to be directly behind me, which I liked better, because in my little rolly chair here, I could just sort of roll over to what I need. But I had all of my George books stacked up behind me. They're now on a bookshelf in front of me, and I had to clear off. It's a wide bookcase, and I had to clear off a good portion of a shelf to fit them all, because as you guys know, I have all of George's stories, 99% of them in first edition runs. That's not a brag. Some of them are not in like the greatest shape, but I'd rather have the story and the artwork that goes with the story when the story was written as intended than to not have it. So I'm more about collecting the story. But those were taking up a lot of space, and unfortunately they had to move, which makes me sad because I could just roll back here and grab a book. So what about House of the Dragon? I have seen those clips. It looks awesome. I have seen the little headlines flying around online about, incest on the beach confirmed. It's like, well, yeah, because that was written into the Targaryens, and it's all foreshadowing for what's going to happen in the main series. And George, put in incest as, something to bring about a downfall of a dynasty, which I'm pretty sure he got from Asimov, the Foundation series, because that's pretty much what happens there. Asimov, he has said a million billion times, is probably his strongest influence. The Foundation series in particular, as well as some of his other little stories. And you see that throughout all of George's writing, not just Song of Ice and Fire, but, like the Encyclopedia Galactica. Yeah, that's a weirwood net. Harry Raven Selden. Yeah, that's a green seer. Which brings me to what else I've been doing is the Foundation TV series. I'm still a little bit on the fence about it. I have gone back and rewatched the first, I think there's only about 4 episodes out right now. I have rewatched the first 2, and I've gone and looked at like different snippets, and it's funny. My first impressions of this series were kind of flat, but then upon rewatch is when I started to, when certain things started to really click. On one hand, it is nothing like the books. On the other hand, it is just like the books. So what they're doing, and the problem or the issue that I always was curious about with Foundation, the book series, is it would be impossible to adapt. I'm not talking like in the same reasons that Game of Thrones television show was so hard to adapt from the books because it's so large. But with the Foundation series, it jumps and it jumps and it jumps. And, Asimov wrote that over a long span of time. And his ideas on the story and the technology and everything that evolved along the way. And he also had a 5-year gap. And so it was just like, how are they going to put this on television? And upon rewatches of the first few episodes that are out right now, you can see, apparently the showrunner said that they're going to try to cover the first 2/3 of the first book, I think is what they said. But in doing so, because it's such a hard story to adapt to a linear television show, they have picked things from later in the story. They have picked things from the prequels, which, were written much later in the book series. So they're setting things up for the future, because I believe, if I'm not, I could be wrong about this, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's the internet, that's what you guys love to do. I believe Apple and or the TV runners, the showrunners, said that they were in it for 6 seasons. At about, I think, 10 episodes a season. So that's a very short amount of time to tell a very long story. So yeah, they're going to have to do some mixing up. And even though it's not like the books, it's actually just like the books, just rearranged. So I'm going to be patient with it. That's my ramble on Foundation. And yeah, House of the Dragon television show. It looks beautiful. The little teaser that came out, I don't even know at this point, because I've been in my little swampy Leech hole here, making, not sleeping. I think I've probably slept 6 hours over the last 3 weeks. Not sleep, but yeah, the show looks beautiful. The casting looks great. I think Damon looks great. And remember, the George said that essentially the crazy ethereal beauty of the Targaryens is just like the crazy ethereal beauty of the others. They are both dragon elements, whether it's the ice dragon others or it's the fire dragon Targaryens. So that's something to keep in mind, and I hope the show touches on that. I hope the show really does stick to the in-world mythology and of the books, as opposed to just creating, another tits and dragons show. And because that, I think, would be so much more interesting than watching a remake of the Borgias or the Tudors, things like that. We've had enough of those shows. The reason why this A Song of Ice and Fire series works so well is because it's not typical. So I'm just about at 12 minutes here, and I told myself, keep it at 10 minutes, 10, and I'm not good with that. So, another issue that I've been having is my iPhone 6 has completely stopped working for most all of my apps. And that includes any apps where I have any social media. And that's actually been okay with me. But at the same time, I know I'm missing a lot of conversation and people tagging me with things. So if it's a social media account that you're trying to get in touch with me through, I'm not going to see it until another 2 or 3 weeks from now, when the new phones come out and I can upgrade to one. And in the meantime, the best way to get in touch with me is either through my blog, possibly through the YouTube, if you're watching this on the YouTube. I don't know, call me, text me. We can chat about this stuff. I'll be in the background, like working on wool, picking beautiful curly locks to make crazy beautiful items of art. And also, for those of you who know me, I love my little Volkswagen car, my little turbo baby that I call her. And I talk about her online. She blew a code a few weeks ago, went into limp mode, and she just got out of the doctor's office, brought her home 2 days ago, and she had a 2 small exhaust leaks, and they were really small. And they ran the smoke test and they found them. That's not something I would have been able to find very easily, especially in this wool swamp that I have buried myself in. So, she's out, she's good now. So those of you who are worried about Turbo Baby, she's good. She's very good. Other than that, I still have a billion ideas that I want to talk about for A Song of Ice and Fire. And hold on, let me grab this. Hold on. Let's see. I've been rearranging everything, so I don't know where anything is right now. But I sort of promise that I'm going to get to explaining magic in A Song of Ice and Fire, because it's really not what most people assume that it is. And I don't mean it's secret sci-fi. It's not secret sci-fi. So that's it for me, because now I'm pushing 15 minutes. If you really want to get a hold of me, tell me that you have found a reasonably priced Volkswagen thing, also known as a Safari or Type 181 around the globe. Tell me you have one of those, a thing, and I will be right there.